First of all, sorry about this, but my iPad has been mistakenly taken from my address by she's took it by mistake. For no other reason, I think she's picked mine up instead of hers. We have the same. I thought we'd talk about trust today, and you're gonna have to excuse me. I've not had a shave today. I've been running around like an headless chicken trying to get things and can't get. So let's talk trust. You ready?
Google, what's the definition of trust?
Here's the definition of trust. Firm belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of someone or something.
There you go. So all them that didn't know what trust meant, now you do. So all these academies or trusts, that's the definition of it. So let's talk trust. The education system is not like it was when I was younger, when we had proper teachers, proper trained teachers, proper education, properly family values, stood up when a teacher came into the classroom, discipline, respect, all gone. Since the government has changed this into trusts, it's just in nothing more than commercialise the product. That's all. And there is no wonder that they're trying to keep these children on till they're 18 now, or these young teenagers till they're 18, because they're not getting the education when they need until they're 16. So I want to talk about that. Let's talk about the trusts and how they work. They get money from the government, and they're supposed to spend that on your schooling for your children. The directors, the headmasters, and all these people that's working for the trust and have got good jobs are very, very well paid. Very well paid. Google it. Find out their wages. I'm going to do it. Freedom of information. And I'm going to get the information regarding these teachers' wages at this school so that I'm going to come on here and openly discuss how much these people get paid. Right? The headmasters and all the rest of it. Company cars at 60 grand. £60,000 Range Rovers. Right, company vehicles and stuff like that, that once they drive them off the garage forecourt, probably lost 10, 15 grand on them. And they're teaching in areas where you probably never see 10 grand, near mind a 60 grand Range Rover, right? Why do they need a £60,000 Range Rover as a company vehicle when a £10,000 car will do? How many people in mainstream employment have a 60 grand company car that's paid for by the government, your money? And when these trusts are supposed to be having your money and using your money to educate these children, your children, our children, right? It's not going back into the system, is it? No, not when my ex-missus is sitting on this settee and telling me they've got no whiteboards, they've got no pencils. She's buying stuff out of her own pocket to take into school to decorate the classrooms, etc. Supplying themes that you're doing. You're setting up themes in classrooms and my missus is taking my work gear in and stuff like that to you to hang on the wall and rows of my brown paper to stick on doors and make brick patterns and all the rest of it because the school won't fund it. And then you're going on social media platforms spouting and shouting about well-being of your pupils who's being taught in your schools and giving them Easter eggs that's been supplied by you, by other companies, and standing there and getting the credit for it because you're giving all these children a £1.50 Easter egg and standing there going, oh, we've got them all an Easter egg. And what about when these children come into school and can't afford to pay for the food, can't afford to, these low-income parents that's on family credit, an extortionate amount of private rent they're paying on the properties, £600, £700, £800 a month on the rent and getting no help for it. What about them? I want to talk about them. And when you're pursuing them for £5 and £6 a week dinner money that they can't afford to pay, threatening to take them to court, stopping the dinner money, stopping the dinners, making them bringing in sandwiches and all the rest of it. I will give you some credit if they don't turn up without the packed lunches, but when my kids were at school and they didn't turn up without the packed lunches and you fed them, we had to pay. That's how it worked, right? And they can't afford school uniforms because a lot of them don't get the grants for that anymore like they used to years ago. They stopped it, didn't they? Because the government is paying that much money out to these trusts, right? A lot of these trusts are a money-making profit organisation funded off the back of your children. Funded. They're on extortionate wages every week. They have to, if the only time they get extra, they want the extra funding. They want these children in their school with disabilities and behavioural problems so they can get more money off the government to look after them. And then you're sticking them with teaching assistants, untrained, that's being assaulted by these children, bruised ribs, going into hospital and walking into your school with slings on because they've been to casualty because they've got bruised ribs that's not been trained to restrain them, not been trained, and you're getting him in the office and saying, look, Have you been trained? Well, you've been trained in this, and you go, no, I haven't. But then the following day, you're sticking with that person again. And you're carrying on doing this, but you're getting funding. And incidentally, this certain person I'm talking about, my ex-wife, worked in your school for over a year, voluntary, for free as a teaching assistant, that scammed away in. She wanted to be a teaching assistant in that school. She went in an online course. So anybody listening to this, go online, find a teaching assistant course, because this is just how easy it is. Find somebody else that's done it. If you can't find somebody, I'm sure this school will get somebody to help you with it, like they did with my missus. A certain person who was at home looking after her pup, right, passing her all the detail, and they'll change the words around and present that to give you a pass, fact, right? And then if you want to go on to be a teacher, go to university and get a degree, or do an online degree. It doesn't matter what you do in your degree, and you can do it in sewing. You're doing anything. As long as you get a degree, you can go back into that school, work in that classroom, and be trained under that teacher. That's how it works. However, when Ofsted went in, a said teacher walked out. Why did she walk out? Because she was under the trusts, being watched by the trusts, had been to university and got a degree, supposed to have been mentored and taught by a teacher, but wasn't. When it come to the end of her time, you turn around to her and said, well, you failed. And she said, well, you've not mentored me. So you passed her because she was going to kick a stink up about it. This is what the trusts do. This is what the trusts do, right? And then they bring these people into the trust that's heavily paid, that think there's something, right? Like GG, who came to your school and bullied my wife. And my wife had to go on to antidepressants and have time off work and didn't want to come back. But came back and carried on with her job. I'll give her that, right? She was working for 5 days a week. But how many days was she paying her for? 3. And when she was bullied by this teacher with regard to my mental health and all this and the other, and she was upset and was constantly bullied because they were Team B and she was on Team A, because she was grassing everybody up to Team A about leaving toaster and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go through all that because you know all that. I know everything. She used to come here and talk. She's a talker. She likes to be on display. She likes to show off. Hence all the videos. Hence all the teeth whitening and thin faces and everything. It's not her. It's not true. If that's her, I put it out there to you now. Do a video, put it on YouTube of you singing. It's like rubbing fingernails down a blackboard. Sorry, I speak the truth. Anybody that comes on here will get the truth. It's all a con. It's all a con. And she was working 5 days a week and she was paid for 3. So she was paid for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And she had, I think it was she had 2 days off. And your doctor wages. Your doctor fucking wages for Wednesday and a Thursday. Really? Your doctor wages. All the fucking time that she gave that trust for free. And your doctor wages. And she was paid up until 3, 4 o'clock or whatever it was, but having to stop there till 7 o'clock at night. So you fed me kids for me to compensate for that. And what happened to the other TA that said, no, I only work up till 3:30. And you drove her out and she then went and started to work in a factory. Her name begins with T. Why? It's not what people think. These trusts are not what people think. It's a scam to get money out of the government. How many of these trustee people that run these trusts and academies and that, where do you think they live? How many live on a council estate amongst the real people, amongst the people who are there trying to provide a service for? Do they understand these people? No. Why does the trust not put more funding into the school? Why does the trust not employ mental health teachers that's trained? Why is it that my ex-partner, right, was one of only a handful of teachers in that school out of all your teachers that had got a paediatric first aid, whatever you call it, first aid training that she took upon herself to do? Why was it that she was going in on lockdown for 2 to 3 days a week when everybody else was sat at home? And the excuse was, well, you're medically trained, you can do it. That's what she's told me. Whether that's true, I don't know. Why is that? Why was she coming home with a laptop, right, telling me discussing all these children's welfare that I'd got no right to know? Well, you know, so-and-so, her kid's been going to school. I nearly said his name. Begins with P. Nice name, same as mine. PY was on about killing himself. And his mother was under mental health, under the social service and suffering from mental health. She had a young child. She got 3 at your school. I know all about that. And the other one, who was abused allegedly by her brother's friend, that ended up being a brother. I know all about that one, who lives over the road, beginning with K. next little town or whatever called beginning with K and A. Right? Why are you not supporting these? Why are you not supporting my children? Why on none of that paperwork have I read, we have decided now to refer this young girl for counselling or treatment? Why have you not done that? Why have you not took her into a classroom? And why has the trust not recognised this? Why have you lot not recognised this? Because you're that bothered about going home to your fancy houses, and you're that bothered about everything, that your big caravans and your 4x4s and everything you're buying and going away every weekend, right? That's all you're bothered about. And that was highlighted at Ofsted. When Ofsted were coming there for the first day and that teacher walked out, right? I'm going to name her, went on the sick, and there's fuck all that you could do about it because she was going to expose you. So she stopped on the 6 for God knows how long, till she found another job and all the rest of it. And to keep her quiet, the one with the 2 dogs, right? Another one. Why is it then that you went into that room when Ofsted went out and you're making your staff work till 10 o'clock at night without pay? Oh, it's to help the trust. And then you get one of your executives for the trust to come and muck in for no other reason, to make sure that he's looking after his interests and his wages. He's not doing it for any other reason. And you want to scale your school by lies and bullshit to get a better Ofsted report that's fabricated on bullshit and lies. Why are these teachers not being looked into? Why are they not looking into these TAs that's being trained online? Why? It was never like that when I was at school. We had own economics, we had metalwork, we had woodwork, we had structure, we had discipline. I'm not bothered. I left school at 13. I started working at 13. My boy started working at 13. My other one left at 15. My other one before that left at 15. They all left without an education. They didn't want it. You taught them nothing. You're teaching them nothing. They've got no inspiration and desire to do it. If these children, I want to tell you this, if these children struggle, and I've heard this first hand off my missus and all, if these children are struggling with any of the work, where does the extra help come from? We used to try and get it. I used to go into school the best part of me and my childhood and teaching me when I was at school was when I started work. And I'll explain that because when I started work, I was taught with metric. And when I went into work, they were all old school boys that learned about, it was all imperial. So when they were measuring feet, inches and yards, I hadn't got a clue about how many centimetres in an inch and stuff like that. So I went back to my teacher, Mrs. Eyeball, her name was. We can all laugh at her name, from Sherwood Hall School, God bless her, and Mr. Jackson and all these teachers, who we had respect for, and asked her for extra lessons after school, and asked her in dinner time if she could explain what feet, yards and inches are. She couldn't do it in school time because it all went metric. It's not life skills, but her skills, what she taught me within them few sessions at dinner time, learning all about feet and inches and yards and things like that. Old school. So when I went plastering and bricklaying and learning my life skills and earning my money at 13, 14 years old, and even at 15 years old, providing a wage for my mother, because my father was on miners' strike and helping towards paying the bills. He couldn't even afford to run his car, so he was riding around in my car through me. Learning skills, learning them extra skills. I had the desire to learn that. Where are these kids getting the desire? They're not. And all these kids that's not got that desire under these trusts, what do you do with them? I'll tell you exactly what you do with them. You exclude them. And you'll exclude them like you did my son. He'd got no desire. He was disruptive. You didn't do anything for him. You isolated him in a room out the way. You isolate these children. That's what you do. People, you need to know this. You need to know. Them that's been Googling and looking at these headmasters who isolated these naughty children. What did you lot do at that trust? What does these certain trusts do with these children that's unruly when the Ofsted come in? I'll tell you what they do. They pick out the children that can talk. They pick out the children that's more educated. When Ofsted go in and do a group chat with them and sit round and talk about things, do you think that's the ones that's struggling that's talking to them? No. It's all the ones that know, that's been gemmed up on it. It's all the ones that you've talked to and put all this into their head and created it and teach them. So when they go into that classroom with somebody from Ofsted, they know offhand what to say. Where's all the other ones that's unruly? Where's all the ones that's having these TAs that's still in nappies, that's getting bruised by her and being battered? Where did she go for 3 days? Check your register. Check your register. She got sent home, according to my missus. You rung her parents and said she's been sick. She's been sick at school. Lie. It was a lie. She was shitting herself and she shit because she got problems. She wore a nappy. But you rung her mum up and told her she was sick. This can all be verified. Sent her home and she wasn't allowed in school for 3-4 days or whatever you told her she couldn't come back into school for. She was out the way while Ofsted was there. That's what she's told me. I'm going to get them to look at it. I want all this looking at. They can check the register. No doubt you can try and falsify that now and make out she wasn't absent on them days. Right? But I'm sure there's got to be some sort of a record. And why don't you man up? Why don't you believe in what trust means? Why don't these academies stand up for what you believe in? Why don't anybody in this world anymore stand up for what they believe in? Why do you think I'm fighting like I'm fighting? Because I believe in my rights. My fucking parental responsibility to see my children. I have them rights. And there's no person, no school teacher who thinks she's protected, right, can go against my rights and play the system. And these are teachers, these are teachers who's looking after your children, who's scamming the system. Watch my videos. Who's going on TikTok going like this, fuck you. When you go into the playground and you see these teachers, hey, are you all right? Patting them on the head and everything. Have a look at what they're like when they're after school. Fuck you. And then you've got parents that's out in where your school is, reporting your teachers because into the early hours of the morning they're seen out drinking. Driving the car into school at 8 o'clock in the morning and a teaching assistant sat in there teaching that they reported to the trust. And she's still working. And this is the same one that went on the Christmas do at the Stags football ground. Urinated in her pants, took her pants off, chucked them to one side and got removed by the door staff. And my missus had to clean her up. How do I know all this? These are teachers responding. How can you look at a teacher now? I still, right, up until about 10 years ago, right, anybody who knows me and where I'm from and where I've been all over. But anybody knows I went to Sherwood Hall and I went to Bury Hall Middle School in Mansfield. And when I was at Bury Hall Middle School in Mansfield, my headmaster was Mr. Greenhouse. When I was at Sherwood Hall, my headmaster was Mr. Penfold. And I got maximum respect from all my teachers, including Mr. Jackson and all the evil little shit teachers that were there. But you still had that respect, apart from one teacher that seemed to think he could bully me. And Mr. Parsay, I think his name was, and ended up going up to college. He got dismissed from that school because he was a fucking bully. He didn't only bully me, he bullied other ones to the point he'd just rag you around with your shirt. Right? To a point there's discipline, then there's aggression, and then there's violence. It bordered violence. And then he got sent up to West Notts College, where he got a little bit back from these bigger lads that's been excluded from school. Such as my lad, who did all his bricklaying training and life skills up there when he was excluded from school. So he went on to be quite successful on what he's doing in life. Right? So when I was walking around my local town in Mansfield and I seen Mr. Greenhouse with his wife, years and years later, I'm 40 odd years old there and left that school when I was probably 11, when it was run properly, right? I went up to him, started speaking to him, and his wife saying he doesn't understand a word he's saying, Paul. Because they knew me, because I'd seen him on several occasions before, because I lived up Bury Hall, and he lived on Bury Hall. He lived amongst the community where he worked. 90% of you lot don't, do you? You drive your big fat cars down to the other side of Asda and them big houses down there and places like that, don't you? That's where you live. You don't live anywhere near your community. You've got no community input. You've got no community spirit that they've got. And there's only one thing I'll say about the school that you've got and living on that estate when I was there. The fucking parents on that estate are amazing. When the poor Dawson was dying, it didn't take them long to start to raise thousands and thousands of pounds because of what they believe in their rights. Right. They're honest, decent people taking their children to school that's being run by fake people. Fake. And you can report me for harassment and stuff like that. I'm speaking the fucking truth. It's a fact. And I was speaking to Mr. Greenhouse and he got Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever he got, and he didn't recognise me. And I stood there talking to him and putting all these memories in his head where he used to cane me, and I used to be a little shit when I was at school, always in trouble, always fighting, and he was always caning me, right? And he smiled at me. He smiled. He may have remembered me, may not have remembered me. And his wife took me to one side and turned around and says, God almighty, Paul, every time he sees you, he puts a smile on his face. Because I give him back what he gave me. You fucking lot don't. You're disgrace to the education system, these trusts are. I'm going to start to I want people to message me if you've had any problems with these trusts. And I'm sure you have. And I'm sure there's many of you out there that's in the same situation as me, who's probably been reported to social services, etc., because you've got a voice. Because that's what they do. Because if you go into that school, right, and the teachers, I've got a lad with autism when he was younger, and you was told the children were told they could only bring water. He was in nursery, for crying out loud, under 5 years old. He wouldn't drink water at that time. Right? This is an example of the fucking behaviour of you lot. You knew he'd got autism. You got extra money for him. You know, he'd got autism. He'd got a disability. He took in a container with orange in it that nobody could see through. Nobody knew what he was drinking. But he told your nursery woman, the one who had a baby not so long back, who's now apparently on your board of fucking governors, right? So you do the wrong thing, you get promoted. You're evil, you get promoted. You bully, you get promoted. The good teachers leave because they can't stand to watch the state of what that school's in. And some have jumped out of that school and kept quiet under another Friday Night Trust. And God bless this one up here, because apparently she's doing quite well, because I spoke to my neighbour the other day when I put bin out. Mention, oh yeah, she's at our school, she's right, yeah, she's lovely. They leave. So what did that nursery school teacher do without even thinking about his welfare or anything? Tipped it down the sink. And I went in and started saying, well, look, he's got autism, he shouldn't be doing that. He won't drink anything else. Not allowed to drink water, it's a fucking rolls. Right? And that's the sort of person she was. Rhymes with chamois. Right? Why? And then I started wanting to make a complaint to the other woman, and you'd get threatened then. We might have to CPOM that, Mr. Stevenson. Might have to write it down on a CPOM report that you're having a go about your son breaking the rules and all the rest of it. And then that might get passed on to social services, Mr. Stevenson. It might be just as wise for you to let it go. Right? Because he was told he could only drink water. Ask him what his favourite drink is. Ask him what his favourite drink is now. Ask him what he drinks when he goes to a pub, when he has a meal with his granddad and places like that. Water. Why do you think that is? Probably because he doesn't want to drink anything else because he got fucking scarred. I don't know. You do the maths. That guy in America, the doctor, message me please. These trusts need exposing for the criminal activities and the way that they're treating these children. Employ a mental health nurse. Employ somebody to watch these children. Employ somebody to speak to my daughter. Get somebody in to speak to my daughter before it's too late. Get somebody in to speak to my son. Get them in a room. Build up the confidence. See what they really want. Video them. Tape them. Do whatever you can do. Right? Because you don't. I've got the name of this young boy that's threatened to kill himself, and I'm sure later on in life he probably will. Right? And I knew that family really well. We used to go around to their houses for birthday parties. I've been to his birthday parties. I've been to his sister's birthday parties. Was very close to his mum. But all the teachers and teaching assistants got told that they were not allowed to have them on the Facebook, was they? So they all got deleted off of Facebook. They all, apart from my missus, who kept them all on. Like the big girl there, right? Who's under the social services, and you're jumping up and down on her back. And making her life a misery. And all the, I'm sure this is justified. I'm sure, well, I know it's justified in her case, don't get me wrong. Right? What have you done to help that family? What have you done apart from reporting it and reporting and reporting it? Why have you not got, you know, I'm not going to go into things like that. And we have large children, we have small children, all different sizes. I've got a neighbour on this street whose nephew's put on a considerable amount of weight on through lockdown, and he's now being bullied at school. He's now been removed from that school for the last few weeks because the bully's got that intense. Why didn't, instead of the school saying for his own protection and his own well-being, send him home out the fucking way? Bang, nothing to do with us, is it? Why did they not get a nutritionist in to advise him on if he wants to do? Why not talk to his parents and educate them? It's not his fault he's put this weight on. It's not his parents. He just put that weight on. But maybe you could show some sort of influence to help these people out. But you won't, because it costs money. It fucking costs money. But you're all right to accept donations from food banks and places like that, aren't you? Food suppliers. Ringing up and bringing the food in and giving it out to the community. Food parcels to the people in the community, and get all the credit for it, and go on Facebook and social media that you're giving food parcels and Easter eggs out. That you've been donated. Right? But you wanted the credit for it. Exactly the same as my ex-wife, and that's why she's on all these shit shocks and all the rest of it, because she wants people, and that's what she does. And she loves it. They love the attention, and 90% of you teachers do. What about the alcoholic bloke teacher you've got there who's always drunk and goes to work the following day in the same clothes? What about him? What about all these things I've been told about your school? Right? I think it's time now the government started putting teachers into schools, undercover, whistleblowers, to acknowledge what's been going on. Let's get the government out there. Let's get them training these teachers. Let's get them in these schools. Let's pay them that bit extra money to whistleblow on these trusts. That's what we need. We need to put these people in, working in trusts, the same as the police do, working undercover in all these factories, like the fucking sports factory in Shirebrook, which has got an undercover police officer working in. Oh, fucking hell, why should I say things like that on here? Seeing what's going off. And because the country, our country, is being invaded by workers from other places around the world, and not only are they bringing the work in, which this country is truly grateful for, and I'm no means a racist, and I accept that they can come into this country, but now the crime rate has gone up because there's certain gangs, triad gangs and all the others that's coming into this country, bringing drugs in, bringing guns in, right? And so now the police are now looking into all this, and they've been pointed down there and they're putting. Why does the school not do things like that? Why does the school, the education authority and the government place an undercover teacher without knowing? Why they not thought about this? And watch these schools and watch the way they run and watch the headmistress come on the night of the Ofsted who's making them work till 10 o'clock at night and buying them a fucking pizza to shut them up. And then the trustees working, well, I'm working alongside you. Yeah, but I'm not being funny, my friend. We're getting a slice of pizza and a half a bag of chips, and you're getting a fucking £100,000 a year and a company vehicle at 60, 70, 80 grand a year. Slight fucking difference, my friend. Don't you think? We'd go down the backs of your seats to find coins to feed ourselves on that estate. Yeah, pathetic talk, isn't it? But you're going into that room after the Ofsted people are going to you, what the fucking hell? You, take that book home tonight, and this is true. Take that book home tonight and fill it in. Just fucking write down this and write down that for the PT training, what you're supposed to have done. You've not done it. You need to have been doing this. You need to have been doing that. They're coming to check that tomorrow. Go home and do it. Oh, no. And he didn't want to do that, did he? But he was made to do it. Right? And then when you had I'll tell you another story about the caretaker that worked there, guys. You had a caretaker that worked there that was a very clever lad. An ex-fireman, not the one you got now. He's an ex-fireman as well, isn't he? The ex-fireman who'd been around the world and done all what he'd done, went into that school and said, that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing. Health and safety. He was a little bit anal, I'm not going to lie, from what my wife told me. That needs a sign, that needs this doing, that needs doing. We need a fire extinguisher there, we need this, we need to turn the water off here. What happened to him? What did you do to him? You got rid of him because you wanted to employ somebody else, a family member, I have told, by my ex-wife. He was a good lad. This is what these trusts need, caretakers that have the responsibility to do it. Not cleaning ladies when a child's sick and say, I'm not doing it. Allowing and making teachers or teaching assistants that's not being paid voluntarily or on very low wage cleaning sick up. And my missus coming home stinking of sick and having to put her stuff in the washing machine because she stunk because the cleaning ladies and nobody do it. And this is the way the trusts are run. So there you go, rant over. So all them people that think these trusts are wonderful, think about the people that's running them. This needs to be looked at. And it's all right, the education minister coming into your school and saying this and saying that and saying the other. And you're lying, you never told anybody who was coming in. Oh, we had to do because of confidentiality and all the rest of it. The fucking trust executives was there. They couldn't wait to have the photos shaking hands with the the education minister and everything, could they? And then the select kids that you pull these certain kids out to put for the photo opportunities. 90% of them are teaching assistants or dinner ladies' children. You promote the staff's children. You promote them all the time. You don't promote little Billy, whose mum's got fuck all up the road and can't afford to pay her bills and struggling. What do you do for his mum? What do you do for little Billy? What do you do for his welfare? You just coast him through and make your money out of him and then lob him onto the next Flying Eye Trust or whatever it's going to be called. Academy or whatever they are now. Right? It's bullshit, bollocks and fake. And that's what it is. And I don't care if you start being awkward with me with this family thing, because my solicitor's on it. I have the right to this paperwork. And if my children are moving school, I have the right to be told. I've been informed. Why should I be informed by a whistleblower at your school by message, and again today, and again last night, right, about my children, when I should have the right to know about it? I take it that you know that my missus has not told me, ex-missus has not told me nothing. My parental responsibility rights. So this fake woman that she is still not playing the ball with the system. She's twisted the law, lied about it, and continuously gets away with it, and lies and lies and lies. And these are the sort of people that you're employing. These are the sort of people that you're sticking up for. This is the person that's come over and gave me everything that I've given to Ofsted. All the information that I've got from Ofsted, given to Ofsted, Dames, Times, Nates, everything, it's come from her. These are the people that you trust. So that's that. I suggest that anybody out there, right, think about these schools, think about your children, think about the education that they're getting. And if you're not happy with it, I suggest you deal with it and moan about it and sort it out. They've got a chance to do something with my daughter and the other children that's in that school that's threatening to commit suicide. They probably won't. At the end of this video, I just want to reach out to anybody who's a parent who's got your children and you're not letting the other ones see them. I suggest you seriously think about what you're doing, because in the end they will. And you will be in a lot of trouble. And as every day, every week, and every month goes past, the deeper and deeper and deeper these emotional problems are going to be on both sides, on the absent parent and on the children that's suffering. If I don't have read anything that, I won't feel half as bad as what I do. But when I've read that, 54 incidents of 45 incidents of children that's asking for the father that's being kept away by a woman, done all my other videos, a teaching assistant, a training to be a teacher who's in a school, right? And I've been asked, where's she working? I'll tell you where she's working. She's working in all the schools around here. She's working in all the schools because she's now working for an agency. And she did a DBS check before she was going to be, she didn't know she was going to be charged. So she did a DBS check. Would the trust have kept her on there on bail? Would you have kept working on bail with what you knew, what she'd done on that paperwork? She'd come to this house. She walked past one of your members in your office, right? She walked past him and says, what's up with you? Where are you going? Stormed out of your school and said, I'm going to fucking see Paul. Ask him. They'll probably might even say, no, she didn't do that. Well, she fucking did. Did you get in touch with the police? Did you get in touch with the social service and say, well, actually, she walked past us and stormed out of the building? So I'm going to fucking see Paul. Jumped in a car and come flying down here and I got assaulted. Can you not remember that? Are you not aware of the videos that she's put on TikTok that she's now took down where she's putting videos on going, I'm going to fucking slap him and all the rest of it? Are you not aware of all that? So all of you lot now, each and every fucking one of you, and Mr. Milbourne and all you rest of you that's been saying that I'm fucked in the head and all the rest of it, keep putting these on here and all the rest of it, and proprietors of the remote of a garage and everything, all you people, I'm coming to speak to you all, right? You all be spoken to, right? How come that you have a go at me, because you're on here watching my video, and a hell of a lot of people are watching them now, and more so on the other channel. There's nearly 2,000 people watching the other channel, right? And my views are like 100, 150 a day on some of these, right? So it's gonna explode. More people in the USA are watching than in England, and they're asking me questions that I can't fucking answer. They can't understand half of this shit. There's many places around the world you get 50-50 no matter what when you split up, things like that with your children, right? But all the time she was on Shit Shock and all the rest of it, Instagram, TikTok, and is it not strange that she's got personal teachers' phone numbers in her phone? And she's constantly messaging these teachers, like the headmistress. Personal phone numbers, may you work with them, why not? You associate them, we drink with them after work, why not? But don't you think that there's a conflict of interest? If that teacher, even the social services put that down, she was a teaching assistant at your school, influenced by the headmistress, right? There was a conflict of interest. And because I was making complaints and allegations regarding the school, you did everything you wanted to try and fuck my head up, sending the police to my house and everything else. But it's all backfired on you now. Because I've done all my well-being checks and everything. You can't say he's mental and in a fit state and you keep sending the ambulance to my house. I think it's fucking funny. They come here and have a cup of coffee with me and have a walk in here and sit on my settee and try and scrag me ornaments off me. That's what they do. But can I have that? Of course you can. Because that's the sort of kind-hearted person I am. You know, a young lady's been coming here and left, they know me but they come here that often. One of them, one girl comes from Chesterfield and we're riding around here in Chesterfield and comes out an ambulance from Chesterfield to here if she needs to on emergency and hangs around Mansfield before she goes back. That's how they work. She wanted one of my ornaments. When are you going to give me that? She asked me apparently when I knocked myself out on stairs. I said, take it. She took it. You know what I mean? That's a gift. You can have it. Great. That's the sort of person that I am. Anybody comes in my house wants something, you can have it. People that know me and my mates will tell you that. I'm not a selfish cunt. I'm not one of these people that's this, that and the other. You need to look closer to home. End of the rant. I hope you enjoy this. So there you go. God bless everybody. Speak soon.